Welcome to our first town board meeting of 2024. We are going to call to order. Before we get started, please mute or silence your phones so that we will not be disturbed during our meeting. We can do business uninterrupted. Give you a moment. Everybody looks ready. We are going to now do a moment of silence, so if you'll please join me. Thank you so much. And now, please join us by standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. Do we have any questions for staff? Board?
I have one.
Commissioner Bergsman.
Thanks. And this one probably Jackie. I just wanted to find out if there's any updates on how the application process is going for the new firefighter positions.
Thank you. The board approved the fire chief and 18 positions on December 4th. The next day, on Tuesday the 5th, we began to put on our website an advertisement for the positions. That was open until Christmas Eve, December 24th. Since that time, we have begun to evaluate the applications. We expect to have scheduled interviews, agility test in the month of January. We expect that process to complete in January. By the end of January, we expect to be in a position to have made offers and pending their notice with their current employer in making the assumption that they're currently employed. I would expect that the positions would be filled in the month of February. I think I neglected to say, and how odd of me to forget the number, we had some people apply for more than one of the positions. For all of the positions that we advertised, we had over 190, just short of 200 applicants. How odd that I would forget to.
190, 190?
Pardon?
190?
Over 190, yes, just shy of
That's
200
fantastic.
applicants.
That's all. Thank you.
All right, let's see. And do we have any announcements, board? Anybody have anything? Ms. Bergerson? No?
No, I have nothing.
Okay. Public comments. We are going to start with Ms. Verona Wynn. Ms. Verona, come forward. State your name and address, please. Good evening.
I am Verona Wynn. I live at 13219 New Haven Drive in Huntersville, North Carolina. I'm here to oppose the widening of South Church Street from Delwood Drive to Holbrooks Road. I oppose this widening because it will continue the gentrification of the Pottstown community and will make traffic on Holbrooks Road and South Church Street unbearable. The town has pursued this project since at least 2020, I believe before that, and several town people have asked me how to get in touch with the property owners on South Church Street to see what they could do to push this project forward, even though it would impact Pottstown greatly. Currently, we have a lot of trucks traveling down Holbrooks Road to the landfill and the recycling plant. These numbers of trucks have increased over the years, and now we have cars stemming from the construction of Vermilion. So we are sharply impacted by the traffic. I can hear the noise of the trucks bang at the railroad track at my house, partly because I'm on a hill, and it really sounds like dynamite going off in the neighborhood. We know also that on South Church Street, there are 2 cemeteries and a church, and 2 property owners who happen to be over 72 years of age. I would like the town to respect that history that is there on the properties. We hope to have archaeology still preserved there to show that history. I suggest that we not close the Dellwood Railway crossing, open that up and move the new traffic across down the short curve of Main Street or the other exits that have been created in the last few years. The Dellwood Drive Railroad crossing needs leveling, and that would be a great asset to safety. So hopefully we are not having a large impact of traffic in Pottstown in the future. Thank you very much.
Okay, next we have Christine Wolak. Did I said that correctly? Please state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
My name is Christine Wolak, and I live at 14114 Whitney Hodges Drive. I just noticed, I'm new to the community. I moved in at the end of September. I noticed on the projection there that the social networks that the town that you suggest we follow are Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all of which are problematic for how they are not monitoring comments. And I would like to propose that there be some additional social media outreach, or if the information is available on the town website directly and not have to follow those particular social media sites. Thank you.
Next we have Katie Carpenter and Vance Carpenter. Have you ceded your 3 minutes to Katie? Yes. Okay, so you have 6 minutes.
I'm Katie Carpenter, and I live at 9339 Beatties Ford Road. I'm here to talk about the critical watershed designation for 9339 Beatties Ford Road, where we are proposing the Long Creek Family Entertainment Project. We have learned a lot about the critical watershed, and I wanted to share this information with the board, as well as with community members. So what does critical watershed mean? Critical watershed is a drainage area that is vital for providing water of various purposes, such as drinking, irrigation, flood control. And our property is in a critical watershed area due to its proximity to Mountain Island Lake. This designation limits the amount of impervious surface rights available to the landowner. An impervious surface is any permanent artificial structure such as parking lot, asphalt, gravel, driveways, roads, and even rooftops. Can you transfer impervious surface rights within the critical watershed area? Yes. Rights can be legally transferred from one property to another as long as they are in the same critical water designation and within reasonable proximity. In fact, policy EOS-5, protect water quality in the 2040 plan states, to continue impervious surface transfer options that allow the transfer of built-upon area between lots. We own the 4.5 acres of undeveloped land next door to the property that we are looking to rezone, and that offers an additional 12,000 square feet of impervious rights that are transferable. Our project plan includes transferring surface rights from that location to the project site to meet parking lot requirements. Can a business operate in a critical watershed area? Absolutely. There are no laws or codes restricting the operation of a business in the critical watershed area. Huntersville Municipal Code 3.3.2-A states that landowners in critical watershed areas can use this land for both residential and non-residential purposes. For example, Midas Springs Water is an operational manufacturing business in the critical watershed located just 3,000 feet northwest from our project site, which is even closer than to the lake. This property is currently for sale, and the listing advertises the property for a possible wedding or entertainment venue. I bet the town commissioners will be considering that project in the near future. Is 9339 Beatties Ford Road included in the activity center on the 2040 plan? No, it is currently not. None of the parcels on the 9300 block of Beatties Ford Road are. That is the entire block from our project site down to the elementary school. Our property is the furthest away from the activity center at approximately 200 feet. One property sits just 25 feet from the school and 55 feet from Lancaster's barbecue. Why was our section left out of the plans for the activity center? After speaking with the planning department and a few citizens that were involved with the process, the only reason is due to the critical watershed designation. This decision was made years ago by a committee that did not include the current landowners of our block. The majority of the current landowners want to be a part of this activity center. When our project comes around for the public hearing process, you will find documentation from the current landowners stating that they want to be included. 4 out of the 5 of us, that's 80% of the landowners that own 94% of the land on this block, want to be included. Adding this block to the activity center makes sense. Anyone looking at the map and the plans for this area will recognize that these properties should be in the activity center to complete the corridor from McCoy, Beatties Ford Road intersection down to Mount Holly, Huntersville Road. Why stop short on one side of the road due to critical watershed designation when these properties owners all have the legal rights to be a part of the plan? Additionally, there is an intersection improvement project coming at the McCoy-Beatties Ford Road intersection in the summer of 2024. This project is slated to add a stoplight in front of our property and to take a portion of land from the front yards of these Beatties Ford Road homes. The intersection project calls for adding 3 new turn lanes at that intersection, as well as a 10-foot wide sidewalk that will encourage pedestrians to walk rather close to the homes of the front yards. Please consider this information as you are reviewing our rezoning requests. Community plans like the 2040 plan and the Beatties Ford Road Small Area Plan are only visions and guides for our future. They were not written in stone. They are designed to be flexible and change alongside the community as we grow and our needs change. On page 61 in the 2040 plan, it states, "Some decisions are complex, and it will be up to the town leadership to take a balanced look at both the intent of this plan as well as the specifics of any site and/or proposal before them. It helps to remember that nothing worth achieving comes without a price, and so we must weigh the costs and the gains of future decisions. The 2040 plan was designed to be flexible with each rezoning request reviewed given current and future plans for the area. The Beatties Ford Small Area Plan was adopted in 2007 when there were around 40,000 residents in Huntersville. Today, the town has over 65,000 residents. Moving an activity center 200 feet is a small request to consider when you think about how 25,000 new residents will impact the overall vision of Huntersville. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Next, we have Mark Nelson. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Mayor, Commissioners, Happy New Year. I'm Mark Nelson. I live at 9407 McCoy Road. And I'm here to express my support for the Long Creek Family Entertainment rezoning proposal. I've been at my property for approximately 7 years now, and I'm less than 100 yards away from where the proposed project is located, diagonally across Beatties Ford. Most people know me as the yard that the fence gets laid down along. And anyway, so a little bit about me. I've been in the Navy for 26 years, retired, and moving around to different places. I'm used to the bases or the neighborhoods providing activities, sports venues, things like that are available to us. And I think what John and Katie are proposing is basically the same thing. Give us a place to go to do things, and my benefit, it's within walking distance. Let's see. I've been to a few events over there. I've been introduced to some good people, met some people that have different interests, which also interest me. They've had the Queen City Coupe Club over. I just signed up for a meet. I've met other retired military or vets, and they've invited me to different little type air shows, a fly-in, which I participated in and had a great time. And some other things that they offer or plan to offer that we've already taken advantage of. John and I both play around with a little bonsai. We've exchanged some plants, things like that. My wife and Katie have exchanged recipes for allergies and things like that that we have in common or share. So those are some of the positives I see from it. And I followed the process a little bit, and I've heard neighbors who voiced their disinterest. One of them said that she worried about rezoning project would stop her from spending time with her future grandchildren. Well, I have grandchildren now, and I've taken them over on multiple occasions for different activities. They have 2 large tortoises that they've rescued. It's very educational for the kids. They're welcome over there. They get treated, with respect, and they're taught little lessons while they're there, which I think is great. As a grandparent myself, I love the idea of the project being right next door. Friendly, local, family-owned, educational. It's also letting the community get together. Like I said, we walk over there quite a bit when they're at the house. We hope you see the positive impact of a place like this would bring to the Long Creek as well as Huntersville. Please vote yes in support of this rezoning, and more residents like us can have access to social, physical, and mental benefits that are unique to us.
Thank you so much. Okay, next we have John Uri. You have 3 minutes.
Jay's had it longer than I have. My name is John Uri. I live at 9339 Beatties Ford Road, and I'd like to say, first of all, thank you for taking our project out of limbo. That was a big step. Thank you. That took a lot of pressure off a lot of us. We are proposing to rezone our property to highway commercial, conditional, for the Long Creek Family Entertainment Project. I wanted to speak about what conditional zoning means and how it is not the same as a full-blown unrestricted highway commercial zoning. The conditional designation allows landowners to make use of the property that they desire while incorporating conditions that address the concerns of the neighbors and local government. Said another way, conditional zoning allows landowners and local government to find mutually acceptable alternatives to the traditional zoning. The restrictions that are imposed for conditional zoning are usually site-specific and are not always found on similarly zoned properties. In a 1988 North Carolina court case, the court observed that conditional zoning is an outgrowth of the need for compromise between the interest of a developer seeking appropriate zoning changes to his tract and the neighboring landowners whose property interest would suffer if the most intensive use of the permitted. Let me start that again. Conditional zoning is an outgrowth for the need of compromise between the interest of a developer seeking to appropriately rezone changes for his tract and the neighbor's landowner whose property interest would suffer if the most intensive use permitted by the new zoning classifications were instituted. In an attempt to reconcile these conflicting pressures, the municipality will authorize the proposed change but minimize the adverse effects when imposing the condition. I bring this up because as we're going through this process, I'd like to remind the board, as well as the community and the neighbors, that we are not asking for full highway commercial rights at our location. We're asking for highway commercial is the only classification that allows for outdoor recreation. Any game played outside is considered outdoor recreation. That's cornhole, bocce ball, croquet, anything. So we would like to offer outdoor recreation, and therefore we have to ask for commercial zoning. But we are voluntarily petitioning for the conditional zoning restrictions. These restrictions we're asking will protect the interest of us all, the local government, and neighboring properties. We look forward to telling you guys more about our project. And I'm really terrible at public reading. But public speaking, I'm better at. But public reading, terrible. Okay, thank you, guys.
And we also have next, we have, I think it says Matt Gaston. That's correct? You have 3 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Done this in a long time. My name is Matt Gaston, and I live at 9212 Toledo Road in Huntersville. That's the mobile home community near Hambright and McCoy. My family has been over there for 4 generations in the Lone Creek area. We all attended Lone Creek School. We all attended Alexander and North Meck High School as well. And I'm here today to express my support for the Lone Creek Family Project. We all have seen Steven Spielberg movies, The Goonies, right? If you haven't, you missed out. I'm a product of the 80s, and that movie very much reminds me of the type of childhood I had. We all knew our communities every weekend. We all had funds, exploring, and adventurous. We all knew that friends based on the pile of bicycles we had from our friends coming over and just having fun. A lot of times we would also take our bikes and we'd ride down to Lone Creek School, play out there on the field and have lots of fun, and also attended over where Puckett's used to be, where it's called Lancaster Barbecue now, which they converted over, and a lot of y'all probably know that. But you know, you can where Puckett's, you could get a soda, play on the baseball field out there, and practice, and also that's where mainly I had a lot of fun with my friends out at school. We would even hike and see other games on the property where the old teachers used to be out there. Lone Creek has a lot of charm, and it's not the same neighborhood it used to be. What happened to those days when rec league sports were played on those fields behind the school? Not all of us can afford to sign our kids up to do traveling team or go on all the new activities now. But we do, the kids in Lone Creek can play. Puckett's was a great hangout, Lancaster, like we had mentioned about the barbecue, but you can go out there and eat, and it don't offer any, really any outdoor activities over there. You just have to, you can eat and go, but Lone Creek is just really an outstanding area altogether. And sometimes instead of believing and watching social media, I looked up the address and noticed, at some place where I looked up, there's a vehicle that they had for sale out there. Since this is the right around the corner from me, and I didn't know a stranger, I stopped by again to learn more about this project. What these guys have planned really warms my heart, and these offering the Lone Creek community a change to bring back much of the character we're lost. A place where I can bring my grandkids and point out that, man, I'm getting old. I'm sitting writing this stuff. But I can bring my grandkids and point out. Okay, that's it. All right, thank y'all.
Before we close out the public comment section, we have one presentation. Commissioner Quarles.
Good evening. I would like to present to the board and to the audience Ms. Jenny Harper. Ms. Jenny Harper is a Community Program Coordinator with Mecklenburg County Department of Community Resources, Economic Services, and she's going to give us a presentation on what's called the LEAP program within Mecklenburg County. Ms. Jenny Harper.
Thank you, Edwin. Mayor Clark, Anthony, board members, and the residents of the fine town of Huntersville. Good evening and Happy New Year. Again, my name is Jenny Harper. I am the Community Program Coordinator with the Mecklenburg County Department of Social Services or the Department of Community Resources, and I work with our energy team, and I'm going to share some information with you about 2 of our programs that could be very beneficial to some of the residents within Huntersville. The first program that I'm going to, and I guess I need to work the clicker, don't I? There we go. Okay. So the first program is the Crisis Intervention Program, or what we call CIP or SIP. SIP money is federally funded dollars that is in place to assist low-income individuals and/or families with their heating or cooling emergency needs. So if there's a family that may be past due on a bill, a heating or cooling bill, SIP dollars can step in to help that family. These dollars are available year-round until the funds run out. But right now, we have plenty of money available still. But these monies are in place to help with past due balances. Each household is potentially able to receive up to $600 per fiscal year. So let's just say there's, a family that's in need, that's past due on a bill, facing disconnection, and they have a $200 past due balance. They could reach out to us, and if they meet the requirement, then we could assist with that $200 past due balance. And hopefully that'll be everything that they need to get back on track, and they'll live happily ever after. But it could be that, 2 or 3 months down the road, they may need our assistance again. And if they do, they can reach out to us again where we can assist with that past due bill up to $600 per fiscal year. And our fiscal year runs from July 1st to June 30th. But again, that is available throughout the year until we run out of funding. Our next program is the Low Income Energy Assistance Program, or what we call LEAP. And Mecklenburg County loves a good acronym. So with the Low Income Energy Assistance Program, this again is a federally funded program. It's in place to assist low-income individuals and/or families with their heating costs during the winter months. You know how in the winter months, those bills can tend to go up. And, for folks that are on fixed incomes, that can be, especially challenging to, try to pay those bills. That's where the LEAP funding can come in to help assist and try to offset those higher heating costs. LEAP it runs from December 1st to March 31st. So we're in the middle of LEAP season. During the month of December, LEAP is only open to those who are age 60 or older. Or for those who are receiving services through the Department of Aging. Beginning in January, where we're at right now, it's open to everyone. So anyone of any age who has a heating bill that they're responsible for, they can apply for this assistance so long as they meet the income requirement. With LEAP, if the home or the household is approved for LEAP, they would receive either $300, $400, or $500. That would go directly to their heating bill. And that could be, however they heat, if it's electric or if it's gas, however they heat their home, that $300, $400, or $500 payment would go directly to their utility. And it'll stay on the account until they use it up. So it'll stay there as a credit. And I know I don't have to tell you guys, for a lot of seniors especially, that can be huge to help them with their heating costs. Then that way they can use their monies for other needs that they may have, be it for food or medication, any other household needs that they may have. Okay, just going to share with you the income limits, because this is one of the things that we, in terms of meeting the criteria for the energy assistance. With LEAP, typically it's 130% of the federal poverty level. You can see the income limits. This year, the state did something really great, in my opinion. It was really great. They increased the income limit for those who were 60 years of age or older. So instead of it being 130% of the federal poverty level, they upped it to 150%, which is really what the income limit is for SIP. So they've increased that for those who are age 60 or older, and you can tell the difference in the income. I mean, we're talking, I guess that's close to, $250, $240 some odd dollars. And for seniors, I mean, that can be, that could be the difference in getting the help or not. So I'm really glad to see that this year that the state did increase that. So one thing that we're seeing this year is that more folks who are age 60 or older will now qualify for this funding. And additionally, at the bottom, I put like a little disclaimer on there because even though these are a guideline, the state does give deductions too. So for those who are 60 or older, there's an $85 deduction that the state provides. So if you're looking at the monthly income of $1,823 for let's say a household that's 60 or older, if that senior, what we call senior or special population, if they're in the household, someone who's 60 or older is in the household, there's an $85 deduction. So a person could actually make $19.08 per month and still qualify for the assistance. Additionally, if someone in the household is working, let's just say if someone's working full-time, the state also provides a deduction of about, I want to say 20% of the gross income. So I try to encourage folks, even if they think they may be over the income limit, they may still qualify. So I always try to encourage folks, if you're close, go ahead and apply. Because the worst thing that can happen is you get a letter that says you're over the income limit. But these are the numbers that you can kind of share with others as well. These are our fiscal year 23 energy allocations. LEAP, and this is for Mecklenburg County, not just Huntersville. This is Mecklenburg County. LEAP, SIP, and then last year we had another program which was for water assistance. That's the Low Income Household Water Assistance Program, or LIWAP. Another one of those great acronyms that we love. So you can see for Mecklenburg County for fiscal year 23, I mean, we had a little over $11 million that was allocated to Mecklenburg County. And with SIP and LIWAP, those water funds, and for the SIP dollars, spent them completely down, completely. LEAP, on the other hand, we spent down a little over $4 million, left about $2 million on the table, but the state turned around, instead of just taking the money, they put it back into to Mecklenburg County for all of the folks who were approved for LEAP. So they gave supplemental payments to people who were approved for it, which was fantastic because all that money came right back to Mecklenburg County. So last year we spent down a little over $11 million in energy assistance. For FY23, these are the numbers for Huntersville. Just to kind of let you know, I wanted to share this with you so that way you could see how many people have applied for SIP, LEAP, and LIWAP during our last season. And you can see that we had a little over 200 folks that were approved for energy assistance in the amount of a little over $110,000. So you guys, we just talked about, what, $11 million? And Huntersville is here at 110. You guys, there's a lot more folks in Huntersville who could qualify for this money. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here, is to try to get you guys to help spread this message so that way we can get this information to the people who need it. These are our numbers for this season. For LEAP, we have a little over 6.3 million, and SIP 2.9. So we're looking at a little over $9 million that we have in energy assistance for this fiscal year. The LIWAP money, for the water assistance, the state didn't provide any of that to us for this year, but this is what we have for this year, or for FY24. So just wanted to kind of share that with you to let you know about the monies that are available. I appreciate Commissioner Quarles for helping me and allowing me to get in this space, and for the work that you're doing to help try to share this message across Huntersville. I am working in North Mecklenburg to try to better share this message. I've been working with the Ada Jenkins Center for several years, sharing information with them and actually going there to sign up residents for energy assistance. I do the same at several of the senior properties here in Huntersville, Bellamore, what is it, the Renaissance at Antiquity, I believe, is that what, that's Huntersville? There's so many that I have. But there are several different properties where I go and sign up the seniors, so that way they don't have to come to us, I'll just go to them, because it's just easier to do that. But, you know, again, looking at the numbers, you guys, there's a lot more work that needs to be done to share this message. Oh, in addition, I am working with Caterpillar Ministries and the Huntington Green community, and trying to get residents signed up there as well. So I just want to, and this is just a personal thing for me, I want to see any and everyone who qualifies for this money to get this money. The last thing I want to do is see money go back to the state. So I know that, you know, a lot of times when we think about Huntersville and North Mecklenburg, we think about, you know, Lake Norman, the peninsula, and, you know, beautiful Birkdale Village. You know, we think about those things, but you guys, there are, you know, areas within Huntersville that are underserved and people who need this assistance. So although many of you in this room may not qualify for this assistance, you may very well know someone who does. You know, be it a friend or a neighbor or a family member, maybe someone from your church or house of worship that may need this assistance. And I would encourage you, please share this information with them so that way they can hopefully apply for it and qualify. Couple of more minutes. You know, in terms of applying, there are really only 4 things that we need: a picture ID, proof of income, their social security number, and even if the parent is not documented, as long as there's at least one documented person in the household, they could still qualify. And then the last thing that we need is a copy of their heating bill. And that's it, or their utility. If it's a cooling bill in the summer, we just need that utility bill so that way we can have the account number to know where to apply those monies. And, you know, the last thing that I just want to say is, you know, if you all know of, you know, if you are a part of any organizations that may need or have some folks that you service that need this assistance, please reach out to me. I mean, I will be more than happy to come and join you to sign up, folks. If you're with a house of worship, I will come to Sunday morning service. I'll come to midweek prayer service, Bible study, usher board meeting, choir practice. I don't care. Whatever it is, I am willing to do any and everything that I can to help as many people within Mecklenburg County as I can with this assistance. All right, and I just want to let you know I have flyers here, and my contact information is there. I have flyers for SIP and for LEAP. I'll leave them back here on this table. They're English on one side, Spanish on the other. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. And again, thank you so much for allowing me in your space this evening. I appreciate you.
Tammy. You're in the public hearing section, so I'll call for you then. Yep. Okay. Let's see. We are going on to, do we have any agenda changes or a motion to adopt the agenda?
Make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor of adopting the agenda, please raise your hand. Any opposed? All right, our agenda is adopted. Next, we have the consent agenda. Do we have any changes to the consent agenda or a motion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor of adopting the consent agenda, please raise your hand. Any opposed? All right, thank you. Next, we are on to our public hearings. And this first one is, has requested to be continued, and so do we need a motion for that? And that's Commissioner Walsh.
Make a motion to continue the public hearing on petition R23-10 until January 16th, 2024 at 6 p.m. here at Town Hall.
Second.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? And then we had one person signed up for public comment for that, so this will be rescheduled. So if you want to go home, you can go now. Or you can hang out with us, which we'd really prefer. Okay, now we're on to item B, which is the public hearing on petition R2311, Morningstar Storage.
Happy New Year. So yes, this is a request for conditional district rezoning for 2311 Morningstar Storage. So on the screen, what you'll see is the current zoning map and the hashed area for the proposed rezoning location. You've got 16230 and 16204 Old Statesville Road. There at the corner is the 16230 address, where the majority of that proposed building is proposed to be placed. This rezoning is currently composed of a special purpose zoned parcel and a highway commercial zone parcel. The proposed rezoning would be for a special purpose conditional district for the purpose of an indoor storage facility. So on the page, you will see the context map, kind of gives you an idea of what is currently either approved or out in this area. You see Huntersville, McCord Road Industrial there to the northeast. There's Northbrook Subdivision a little further to the northeast, and Spring Grove Subdivision. All these were fairly new, recently approved projects. And then there in the middle, you see the proposed site for the indoor storage facility. So moving to the site plan, the proposed site plan, again, you've got 16230, which is that northern parcel, and 16204, which is that southern parcel in the red. The proposal is to recombine those two lots for the use of the indoor storage facility. And again, the proposal is for special purpose conditional district, which allows indoor storage. Article 7. One of the main reasons the rezoning is happening, in the purple area, you see those are approximate lines. Indoor storage as a use is allowed in special purpose, which is that purple district. However, there is an 80-foot buffer requirement since the adjacent property to the south is highway commercial. So in those instances, the town requires an 80-foot landscape buffer. In order for the applicants to have a feasible site, they've asked to do a conditional district rezoning to have the area available for that 80-foot buffer, which is that red area. Part of the modification request for that buffer, 80-foot buffer, is to reduce that to 66 feet. Part of a buffer requirement is to have a certain amount of vegetation. They have proposed to use the same amount of vegetation as you would in an 80-foot buffer as you would in a 66-foot buffer. So that is the modification request. Because this is a conditional district rezoning, there is a modification, there is an allowance for variation of what's allowed in the ordinance. So that is a modification request. There is a tree save requirement in Huntersville in this district for special purpose, which is the proposed zone. That is 30%. This plan saves 40%. There is a reduced parking requirement for this type of use, since there's not a lot of customers in and out and parking in an indoor storage facility. There's 26 required spaces with the square footage proposed at 130,200 square feet, and they've provided that minimum number. What you see on the screen here, I don't know if it's too late, but I'm not sure if I entered the staff report into record. I always forget that one, but enter the staff report into record. So on the screen, you have the proposed elevations. The one on the top is the corner of McCord Road and 115 looking southeast. And on the bottom, you've got the northwest view looking from Highway 15 going north. This is the proposed elevations as they would pertain to the requirements of the ordinance. Kind of work back and forth with the applicants on getting that minimum requirement, which in the town of Huntersville, what we ask is that the building is pulled to the road frontage and have a pedestrian feel to it, whether that be windows or modulating features on the walls, varied roof heights, so it doesn't look like one flat building. With accordance to Article 4, staff believes they've met that minimum requirement. One other item worth noting is Article 7.5, which gets into the buffering that we've talked about briefly before. There is an 80-foot buffer requirement on right-of-ways as well. However, you have the ability, or applicants have the ability, to reduce that fully if the architecture addresses the street frontages. So moving towards the 2040 community plan, which is the guidelines that we use to make sure any proposed rezonings meet the town's wants and needs for the future. Through analysis, staff found that the proposal is consistent with some of the land use items and is not consistent with others. It is consistent with LU 5.1, which talks about more intense development can be proposed only where transportation infrastructure already exists. We believe this proposal does that. And then the design street improvements with consideration for surrounding context and various users. So on this particular street corner, which would be 2 thoroughfares, we do have a requirement for 10-foot side path, which elevates our multimodal type needs. So you can use it for walking or riding bikes, whatever that might be. As far as what it's not consistent with, staff found that in the 2040 plan, the map you see in front of you, there's a blue area, which is employment center, which is that northern piece of the property. And then there's that orange piece, which is town core. In the employment center area, we're encouraged to have a development pattern that ups employment type uses. Storage facility generally doesn't have many employment uses at any one time. Generally it's 1 or 2 on site at any time. And also LU 6.3 talks about small scale neighborhood serving commercial and office uses, which they may be allowed in that town core area or moderate density areas. Staff does not believe that a mini storage would support a small scale or neighborhood serving commercial or office use. So moving forward to staff recommendations, and considering this rezoning 2311, we believe that the proposal does generally meet site and architectural standards, which I talked about briefly before. Also meets most minimum zoning requirements other than the proposed modification request for the buffer. We do not believe that it is consistent with the envisioned uses set forth in the 2040 community plan. Those were sections LU 1 and 6.3. However, it is worth noting that 3 of the 4 acres that encompass this rezoning proposal does allow storage, indoor storage, as a use by right. So the one added lot that would require a conditional rezoning, which is that southern piece. We believe that the addition of that for the buffering is a appropriate use for approval. One condition that we do have for approval is we would like to see how that vegetation within the 66 feet buffer, how that looks with a cross-section on the plans to make sure that that vegetation can meet its full growth. So that's one question we have in a condition that we'd like to see moving forward on the plans. Typically, in a rezoning, we also have minor staff comments. We haven't gone through all the reviews for a plan. So there are some minor staff comments for engineering, some for planning. Usually if they're minor type of comments, we will use this type of condition. That way we catch all those before it's actually stamped and approved, if it does move forward with approval. That's all I have for you. I'm here for any questions to be answered. Also, the applicants are here. They have a presentation as well.
Board, do you have any questions for staff? You do? Okay. Commissioner Walsh.
Mr. James, can you go back to the slide that shows the building and the roads?
The elevations? Yep.
Might be one more back, right there, yeah. So it looks like right in, right out only here. So if somebody were to use the facility and want to go south on Old Statesville, they'd have to go somewhere else and do a U-turn, correct?
Correct.
Okay. The frontage that is off of Old Statesville, at some point, I know we'd like to probably widen Old Statesville. Is there enough room there? Are they right-of-way so that if that were eventually widened, we don't lose like our multimodal path?
Yes, the plans that we reviewed, we require the future right-of-way to be on the plans, and then they base their plans off that future right-of-way.
Okay, so the right turn, I think it was part of the Spring Grove approval, that'll happen separate, but there will be, if it's widened, enough room.
And I believe on the engineering analysis of this, that section of McCord Road for this proposal isn't within that improvement for that Spring Grove, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. And then the buffer requirements, you said that they have to plant as many plants or whatever as they would an 80-foot?
They don't have to. Staff would like to see what that cross-section would look like, because in their modification request, they have offered to put the same amount of plants as would be in an 80-foot buffer. And how that works is they take 1,000-square-foot sections, and whatever that total square footage is, you would spread that vegetation within that buffer. So they have offered to keep the same amount of plants as there would be in an 80-foot, in that 66-foot size buffer. So we don't know necessarily what that looks like. I believe they show that in their presentation. I have not vetted that for scaling purposes yet, because we haven't reviewed the plans fully for the next round.
Okay, so you're not comfortable with the buffer requirements at this point?
Not quite yet. I could be if we see the cross-section.
Okay, and when are they supposed to show this cross-section?
We have comments in, and we'll review those plans. I think they're due for full staff review by January 11th, but it would be done prior to the final approval and staff report in that.
Or before going to the planning board?
Likely, yeah. Yes, sir. It looks like the applicants are.
Okay, that's good. I'm good.
Yeah, if it's okay, I'll hold up all my questions until after the presentation.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff? Waiting till after, okay.
If you guys have more for me after the applicants come up, I'm happy to answer those.
Okay. And the applicants, would you like to present? Okay.
Thank you, Jesse. Good evening. I'm Marshall Macon with Morningstar Properties. Wanted to give a little bit more additional color on what Jesse already reviewed. So here we've got a little sample of some of our development projects. We are a vertically integrated owner, operator, and developer of self-storage facilities. So I think this is trying to use these examples to allay any preconceived notions on what kind of first-generation storage product types look like. So a handful of these projects are urban infill projects that, probably don't fit the context of this corridor, but just an example of kind of what Class A storage facilities can represent. A little background on Morningstar. We are locally based, been based out of Matthews, North Carolina since 1983. We've got a strong local presence. We own and operate 19 facilities in the Charlotte MSA, and highlight that to say that we are long-term owners and operators and not merchant builders. We focus high attention to detail on the quality of our product, and we think that both our aesthetics and our customer service are differentiators in our asset class. Jesse was pretty thorough in this, but just to kind of highlight the two parcels here, it's the SP and the HC. Storage is by right in the SP, and essentially what we are requesting is to rezone the HC and then rededicate a large portion of that as a landscape buffer. And then a general highlight here of just kind of some of the surrounding zoning context. I think commercial use fits and aligns with the highway commercial and special purpose, not a ton of residential immediate adjacent to us. And, a couple questions that we consistently get on our product are, around the employment center, which Jesse has already raised, and then about traffic. And comment on the employment center is, while we don't employ hundreds of employees, there is a significant economic benefit to our use. So we're looking at potential 1,400% increase in real estate taxes. And then on the backside, we don't overburden infrastructure, utilities, schools, and all of that. So should be a net gain financially. And then from a traffic standpoint, we are very low intensity use. So while we have a 3-story building with some presence, these are ITE engineer calculations on traffic, and they calculate about 24 vehicles per day. So it's low intensity use, and we have actually done internal studies on the multi-story product, and we found that number is reduced even. We find about 12 to 13 visits per day. So understand local concerns around traffic, so just wanted to put a visual together to allay any concerns around that. And then here is similar site plan that we showed you before, kind of highlighting that 66-foot landscape buffer we intend to retain. And then we've got that section that Jesse was talking about right there. So I think if you look at it, the requirement is 4 trees per 1,000 square feet of buffer area. So what we've done there is try to highlight the mix of required plantings within a 66 buffer to show how feasible it is. So our intent would be to meet the requirements on the 80-foot buffer for the reduction down to 66 foot. And then just finishing up with some renderings. We've had good dialogue and back and forth with Jesse and staff trying to get this to appropriately fit the vision. So we've added a ton of elements. We've got brick, we've got building articulation, awnings, and a ton of glazing to try and offset some of the scale of the building. So hopefully this is a product we can be proud of. And then there are some colored elevations of the 2 frontages. So open up to any additional questions.
So by right, we know that you can put a smaller facility on the first lot that's already zoned appropriately. Did you consider that initially? Has that been even looked at or considered?
We did consider it. It's not economically feasible. So the constraints of the site are on the back side. We've got the Norfolk Southern right-of-way. And then on each front side, you've got landscape buffers that we're requiring too. Okay. So in order for us to build what we need here, we need that additional 25 feet.
there's currently somebody living on the property in a trailer. Just want to make sure they're aware, they're being, if they're renting, they're aware, if they're the owner, they're being compensated.
Yeah, we have accounted for that in the contract.
Okay, all right. Would you consider adding solar panels to the roof?
We have been rolling out solar panels across our portfolio, so certainly something we're open to.
Thank you.
Have you ever built any, sorry. Commissioner Hunt, go ahead.
Is there some kind of data or research to support the necessity for a storage unit, like any sort of market research?
Yeah, I mean, we've done our own internal market studies on this, so, I mean, it's trying to weigh supply and demand and everything, so, yes, this fits comfortably within what we're comfortable with, so. So if you talk about it, our general, what I would say like an oversaturated market would be like north of 20 square feet per person, and this is like maybe a little wonky for you guys, but we're closer to like 10 square feet per person in this trade area. And with all the growth, that number will continue to be driven down.
Okay. And then I just saw some of the tree species that you had on there. I didn't get to see all of them, but would you be interested in planting any native tree species there?
We prioritize landscaping, and we are open to anything there, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Bergman.
Thanks. Have you built any mini storage that has a mixed-use component with, retail or commercial on the ground level?
We have not, and what we have seen, we have tracked a few other developers that have done that, and what we have found is that it is very tough to get commercial tenants, and they end up converting the intended commercial space to storage use at the end of the day. So, and one of the biggest challenges on that is the additional parking requirements with an elevated commercial use.
The reason I asked is because this is in adjacent to an employment center in the town core, and that's a bit more innovative look at indoor storage, and there are small footprint businesses that I could see in need of spaces like that. So I was curious if that is something you would ever consider.
I mean, one thing we do is we donate up to 10% of our units to local charities and businesses. So it might not be a retail storefront, but certainly try to integrate ourselves within the community.
Okay. And then with another buffer question, that section on the east side, is that just going to be grass, or what's the reasoning by leaving that so open?
Well, there's and Jesse, correct me if I misspeak here, but you've got the right-of-way setback, and you've got the 10-foot pedestrian walkway that we're trying to incorporate, and then on each side of the pedestrian walkway requiring mature trees on each side. So we're accounting for a right-of-way, 2 rows of mature trees, and a 10-foot walkway.
So, and if I may interject, what he's referring to are the front landscape planting area requirements. That buffer on the McCord Road and Statesville roadside, since they've met Article 4, which is the architectural standards, those buffers are able to be removed fully. I think your question was the green area.
I'm just questioning why there's that, what that space is.
I think that's just a rendering, so that wouldn't be the...
That's the 66 feet where we're going to have to go in and populate it with the 4 trees per 1,000 square feet.
Okay.
So that is not going to be grass. That will end up being the 66-foot landscape buffer with trees.
Right. So we would require that all the way back to the railroad right-of-way. So that wouldn't be a grassed area.
Okay. I've got a few more. Just give me a second. So and I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this already, but just the way that it was worded in the transportation stormwaters is probably more of a staff question. Just making 100% sure that the designs are ADA compliant, where the entry exit points are and with the sidewalks.
Yes.
And there was one thing when you had the neighborhood meeting, I just wanted to check, and I don't know if this is I wasn't at that meeting, so I don't know if this was just mistyped, but there is a comment in there that at that meeting, and I'm trying to find the exact words, you said the required buffer would be located on the site, which the required buffer is 80 feet. So at that meeting, did you already know that you were going to be asking for a 66-foot modification? Or is what was
Yes.
presented then versus now?
I think we did know at that time. There's been a couple of last-minute changes coordinating with DOT and landscape requirements where the condition has changed by a few feet. So yes, we knew.
Okay, but, and is that what you said at the meeting? Because in the minutes, it says that it was, that you, or had the required, which is 80 feet.
I don't recall, to be honest.
Okay. That's all I've got.
Any other questions? Nope. Okay, we do have a few members of the public signed up to speak if you're concluded. Okay. Steve Dove, that's the applicant. Tammy Steyer. You have 3 minutes, and please state your name and address. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Tammy Steyer. My husband and I live at 10225 Hagers Road. Our property is adjacent to the MI Homes Spring Grove development that's currently under construction. But my comments tonight are relating to the storage facility at the corner of McCord Road and Highway 115. The site plan for this project shows the installation of a 10-foot multi-use path shown as a concrete sidewalk, which I think Jesse and the other gentleman have mentioned. It borders the south side of McCord Road as well as the east side of Highway 115. And I think this project is creating a great opportunity for the installation of a crosswalk across Highway 115. There are residents, as Jesse pointed out, at Northbrook, which also includes Oak Farm, as well as MI Homes Spring Grove development. And there's over 300 homes in those two developments that if they had safe access across Highway 115, they could walk to the North Mecklenburg Park, as well as the community church and other businesses. I think there's a farmer's market or something like that, a small farmer's market in that area. But as you know, the sidewalks on the north side of McCord Road from Northbrook and Oak Farms developments, they've been installed recently along McCord Road, as well as the industrial project that installed the traffic circle along with the sidewalks that are connected to Northbrook sidewalk. That sidewalk goes almost to across, well, it goes to the railroad crossing, but it doesn't cross the railroad crossing. That would have been ideal to have, that access, the cross all the way over the railroad project or the railroad tie, but, we may have missed that boat. But anyway, MI Homes will be completing sidewalks from their Spring Grove development that will tie into that traffic circle sidewalks as well. And as I mentioned earlier, there are over 300 homes with sidewalk access that could easily walk to the park and to the church. Even though the sidewalks are on the north side of McCord Road, residents could cross McCord Road after the railroad crossing and reach the sidewalk that will be installed by Morningstar Properties. So all of these sidewalks are a very nice improvement to the walking community, and the addition of a crosswalk across the very busy Highway 115 could provide the community safe connectivity to these public amenities. And so I'm asking that the town please include the addition of a crosswalk across Highway 115 as part of this project. Thank you.
And then we have Anna Rubin. You have 3 minutes. State your name and address, please.
Hi, I'm Anna Rubin, and I'm at 16214 Hollybourne Road. And thank you for the opportunity to talk today about this rezoning. I know it's going to go to the planning board, and they'll have a lot of deep dives that they're going to do before it ever comes to you. But I wanted to ask that we consider the buffers not being extended, not being reduced on the south side, but also not being reduced on the north side. And I don't know exactly how that goes with the building facade sort of complying with a little bit more of the town feel. But I think it's a very large building. I don't want to say it's a monstrosity, but it's a very large building. And it's a small corner there. And it's a corner that's leading to a lot of residential areas that I know I drive by that corner every day. And to turn that corner and feel like you could almost reach out and touch this building is a little overwhelming to me. I think having a little bit more of a buffer to keep the feel of the neighborhood and of the smaller area would definitely benefit the town and the residents, even those that are biking or walking down these sidewalks. It feels like on the north side, they've really, really reduced that buffer between McCord and the building. And I would just love the developer and the town to consider not reducing that as much so that it's a little bit more green space, a little bit more area for trees. I know it shows 2 big trees, but if you really go and walk that, I did that today. I couldn't figure out how that could even be there with the sidewalk and trees, and just seems very, very compressed there. And I think it would just be beneficial to, I'm okay with rezoning, but I think the building needs to be adjusted a little bit and possibly reduced in size to keep the feel of that area. And I'd just like everyone to consider that and think about what we could do to not feel like that whole corner is being taken over by a large building. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions for staff or the applicant? So that will conclude our public hearing for Morningstar R23-11. And we are on to our next one, which is the public hearing for petition TA 23-06, which is request by Planning Department to amend a zoning ordinance.
Good evening. I will submit my staff report into the record and get started. All right, so TA 2306 is a proposal by the Planning Department to bring the zoning ordinance into compliance with the recently passed House Bill 488. House Bill 488 now includes 3 and 4 family dwellings in the NC Residential Building Code. Previously, it was only limited to 1 and 2 buildings. This change does mean that these dwellings can no longer be subject to the architectural requirements. To comply with this required change, staff proposed removing 4 1 and 2 family dwellings from the above affected articles in the zoning ordinance. The bill also includes changes to the permit dollar thresholds for requiring a GC license for construction work, and that threshold has been increased to $40,000. As well, the bill also provides alternative pavement design standards for development. To comply with this change, we are going to add the language, notwithstanding the foregoing, nothing in this subsection shall be interpreted to conflict with NCGS 160D 804J. These changes will not affect the way driveway permits are issued by the town. On October 5th, the Ordinance Advisory Board recommended approval with a vote of 4 to 2 to 1, with a recommendation for staff to review whether the listed items below required a building permit, specifically a hot water heater. The current proposed ordinance states that these items are generally required and serve to give examples of items that may require a permit. It does not say that these require a permit. Mecklenburg County issues our building permits and clarifies what items require a building permit. And if you guys have any questions, I can answer for you.
Okay, Commissioner Bergsman?
Just a quick clarification. So for number 7, and those 4 bulleted items, is everything written in the proposed changes in compliance with the HB 488 with the new law?
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Walsh?
I just have one. Well, the HOAB did vote to approve this. It seems like some voted against. Why would they vote against complying with state law?
They were merely questioning, I believe, why we included the highlighted items when Mecklenburg County does not require a building permit for those.
Just to clarify, they sometimes do. There's a very specific exception in the statutes when the hot water heater installation or replacement, I should say, would not require a building permit. But we don't list out each and every exception in our ordinance, because if we did so, our ordinance would be probably 10 to 20 times the size that it is now. Rather, these, again, as Nathan mentioned, were listed by way of example. They're not meant to be exhaustive.
Anybody else? Questions for staff? We didn't have any public comments, so we can conclude our public hearing for TA 23-06. And the next one is a public hearing on petition TA 23-07, requested by the Planning Department for a text amendment.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to put my staff report in the record. For petition TA 23-07, the zoning ordinance in 2018 had several images showing different types of street networks, as we can see on the screen here. And in 2018, those images were removed because of the adoption of the Engineering Standards and Procedurals Manual, which superseded these images. So our proposed ordinance change, here we have the current definition of interconnected in Article 12.2.1 in the zoning ordinance. This proposed ordinance change is looking to remove the highlighted text as it's irrelevant now that it's referring to those previously removed images from that text amendment back in 2018. So, short and sweet.
Any questions for staff? Okay, we didn't have any public comments for this, so we will conclude this public hearing as well. TA 23-07. We are now on to other business. Adopt a resolution to require right-of-way and easements for construction of Church Street.
I'd like to make a motion to continue item 10A to the March 4th board meeting at Town Hall at 6 p.m.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Quarles is seconding. All in favor, please raise your hand. Any discussion before we go forward?
Yeah, I just think that we need more information. There's been a long plan that has been brought up multiple times over the years, and it's all piecemeal. And I just think that for our benefit and the public's benefit, that we really need to have more information in front of us before we move forward with that. I have major concerns just on walking the site, and I just have a lot of questions, and there wasn't a lot of information yet, so all in one place. So I would really like to revisit it.
Any other discussion? All right,
I'll say, yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to add to that. I mean, I definitely have a lot of concerns about this, and I also feel that we could be doing a better job of engaging the community that's going to be impacted the most. So, you know, I'm definitely on board with moving it to give us time to do both of those.
Any other discussion? Okay, let's redo our vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Okay, we are now on to item B, consider approving updated fire department operating and services agreement.
Good evening, Board. You have before you in this item amendments to the operating and services agreement that we currently have with HFD Inc. I'm happy to answer any questions about the proposed amendments.
Do we have any questions? Commissioner Quarles?
No. Motion.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the amended operating and services agreement with the HFD Incorporated.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Walsh. Any discussion?
Just want to say hello to Chief Tatoli over there.
Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? All right, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. And we are on to, lost my place, I'm very sorry. Discussion of establishing a sustainability committee. Commissioner Hunt.
So to begin our discussion, I'd like to share the prevalence, goals, and purpose of creating a sustainability committee in Huntersville. Many other municipalities around here have sustainability committees. Davidson, Charlotte, Winston-Salem, Boone, Louisville, Asheville, Chapel Hill, Belmont, Greensboro, Elon, Hendersonville, and Matthews, just to name a few. The committee could potentially be comprised of 9 experts in the areas of education, environmental climate science, infrastructure, forestry, or like an arborist, energy conservation, alternative energy, and sustainable business practices. The committee could meet monthly and advise commissioners about Huntersville sustainability efforts and opportunities to protect the natural environment, and could potentially focus on 4 things. One could be community education and engagement, advise and make recommendations regarding community education and outreach. The second could be green building and infrastructure. So advise and make recommendations regarding codes and ordinances related to green building and materials. This could potentially include making improvements to stormwater runoff, permeable pavement and rain gardens, increasing walkability and bikeability, and so on. The third priority could be identifying policies to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, specifically those from methane and fuels. So we could potentially implement composting, install some EV charging stations, and update the town fleet. And then lastly, enhance the natural beauty and livability by advising on ordinances and policies to preserve the tree canopy, and enhance the natural beauty through native species. To share some additional purpose and zoom out for a second, I'd be remiss if I didn't share some research and stats. According to the Pew Research Center, nearly 3 in 4 people believe that climate change is hurting Americans today. Many folks have seen the devastating impacts of climate disasters, from the wildfires in Maui to hurricanes in Florida. And although we are not directly feeling the impacts of sea level rise or dealing with wildfires, we have seen things with major environmental implications in Huntersville, like the Colonial Pipeline spill, a disproportionate number of ocular melanoma cases, and a drought in 2007 that caused concern about the future water supply statewide. Back to the research mentioned a moment ago, it's notable that many young people feel that harm will befall them due to climate change. In fact, 8 in 10 respondents felt that way. I think it's important to take action for posterity's sake. What thoughts does the group have?
Commissioner Quarles?
This would be a great way of saving energy and not creating waste and product sourcing. But I have a question for staff. Are there ways that we can incentivize businesses to participate in something such as this?
It could be something that we could research and look into in terms of options.
Because I've come up with some different ideas where it could be a win-win, where the town can partner with some of our local brewers, for example. There's a program in Richmond, Virginia that I know of where the breweries are working with the local town. And I just love the Huntersville Above Charlotte T-shirts. And it's definitely something I'd love to share later with the staff in regards how we can profit from this as well as participate in sustainability.
Commissioner Bursman?
Yeah, question and a comment. And Commissioner Hunt, I don't know if, are we talking more about a committee that's going to be in existence for multiple years, or something like the, last year's Affordable Housing Task Force, where it was set up with a clear end date?
I think because this is an ongoing kind of issue, and we're always improving and finding ways to become more sustainable, I see this as more of an ongoing committee.
I'm on the same page. And then I was also just doing a little bit of research, and, we hear about the 2040 plan a lot. So I looked at that when I saw, that we were going to talk about this on the agenda tonight. And I just wanted to bring up a few things that I feel are relevant, and also highlight that, moving forward with something like the, a sustainability committee is also aligned with our 2040 plan. So first, I just wanted to mention, repeat for those who don't know it, the vision statement, because it does talk about environmental safety. And so from the 2040 plan, by 2040, Huntersville will be a vibrant community rooted in the past while looking towards the future. It provides attractive options for its residents to live, work, play, and grow. Pursuing the highest level of excellence, the town will guide growth and development in a way that prioritizes, I can't talk tonight, quality of life, green spaces, and environmental safety, meaningful economic development, and multimodal transportation. So, especially when, this is right in the vision statement, I feel that this is a logical next step. Also in the 2040 plan, there's the EOS 9, which is the environmental and open spaces section of the document. And I'm not going to list all the things in the plan that are relevant to this, but I do want to highlight one or two, which is the recommendation to promote sustainable sites and buildings, and then 9.1 to promote the use of energy-efficient building and neighborhood design. And I just want to bring those up because I do like to look, if this is something that the community gave feedback on, and I support, and I feel that it's in line with the vision of the town and the priorities. So I like the idea.
Any other discussion? Commissioner Walsh?
Yeah, I think this would be an invaluable group for our town, and we certainly are needing it. Any idea of, what staff time would be involved or number of staff folks?
I think 2 staff members and 1 person to take notes. And I think the staff time depends on research, presenters, time allocated for meetings. The committee could meet in the afternoon, maybe around 3:30, to alleviate the need for staff to extend their workday to attend the meeting.
Any other questions or discussion? Commissioner Rivers?
Yes, I have a question. So the committee, will it be comprised of, will you look at, besides staff, outside sources as well for any type of, recommendations or anything like that?
Yeah, ideally, it would be great to have folks from a couple of different areas that could advise us, and they would be experts in those particular areas. But some of those that I had mentioned are folks who are in education, environmental, climate science, infrastructure, forestry, et cetera. Is that what you were asking?
Yes, and also you may want to look at some nonprofit organizations that offer that. And the reason why I say that is because coming from a community where we have definitely struggled with environmental sustainability, we had to seek other options as far as nonprofit organizations that have come out and have given reports on our air quality. So where they've tested from our Torrance Lytle building because there have been tests that come back where there is asbestos in that building, so it has been an issue within our community. So that would be very good for you to go out and seek some nonprofit organizations where you don't have to pay to get that information. They're willing to do that, and they have the funding for that. That is what they specialize in. But also, too, I want to bring up, just the fact that I do think I support this committee. I think it would be beneficial for the town as a whole in its entirety Like I said, in dealing with this and going through this for many years with the landfill and being affected and our residents being affected, I think this will be very great, educational, as well as getting the input from the residents here in the town of Huntersville.
Any other? Commissioner Dumas.
Do you imagine this committee to review zoning requests and offer guidance similar to like my question earlier with the Morning Star? Thank you.
No, I don't.
Okay. But they would have like, so they wouldn't be involved in the rezoning requests, but they would have some potential ideas for how we could approach it with our.
Right. I believe they could make some recommendations or advise on specific ideas, policies, ordinances, et cetera.
Any other questions? I guess we don't need a motion, but we'll take a straw vote to direct staff to proceed with the formation of this committee. So if you are in support of this, please raise your hand for a straw vote. And anybody opposed? Thank you. We have reached item number 11. To closing comments. Does anyone have any? We'll start down here with Commissioner Rivers, Commissioner Walsh, Commissioner Dumas, Hunt, Quarles. Oh my goodness.
It's not long, no. I just want to say Happy New Year to all the citizens of this great town of Huntersville. And on this coming Thursday, January 4th, the Lake Norman Chamber will have their government session for junior leadership in Lake Norman, which is composed of 12 students from CMS, Lake Norman Charter, and Community School of Davidson. I want to thank our Chief of Police and the Police Department, as well as Mayor Clark, for attending and supporting this initiative.
Commissioner Bergsman?
I have nothing other than wishing the community a happy and healthy new year.
All right, thank you. All right, that's item number 12. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
I second.
Commissioner Walsh makes a motion and Commissioner Rivers seconded. And no discussion by anyone? Okay. All right, please raise your hand if you're in favor of adjourning. All opposed?